My name is Pusaba. I'm 79 years old, and there is something I need to tell you tonight that I carried inside me for most of my life without knowing what it was, without knowing it had a name, without knowing that it was the one thing quietly destroying everything I tried to build. For more than 50 years I walked through this world with a feeling I couldn't describe. Not sadness exactly. Sadness I could have understood. Sadness has a shape. It has a reason. It arrives and you know why it arrived, and eventually it leaves and you know why it left. This was different. This was something without edges, without explanation, without beginning or end. It was just there, always there, like a room inside my chest that nothing could furnish. Like a hunger that no food could satisfy, like a thirst that no water could touch. I tried to name it for decades. I called it loneliness, but I felt it even when I was surrounded by people who loved me. I called it dissatisfaction, but I felt it even when I had everything I thought I wanted. I called it depression, but it didn't behave like depression. It didn't come in waves. It didn't have triggers. It was constant, quiet, patient, like something waiting for me to finally be still enough to see it clearly. Maybe you know this feeling. Maybe you've been carrying it too. This strange hollowness that lives somewhere behind your ribs. This sense that something fundamental is missing, but you can't figure out what it is. You look at your life and it seems fine, maybe even good. But inside there's this whisper that says, this isn't it. This isn't enough. Something is wrong, and you don't even know why. If that sounds familiar, stay with me tonight, because what I eventually discovered about that emptiness changed everything I understood about myself, about life, about what it means to be human, and it might change everything for you too, but not in the way you expect. I spent decades trying to fix this feeling, decades. And every attempt to fix it taught me something important. Not because the attempts worked, they didn't, but because each failure revealed another layer of the truth I wasn't ready to see. First, I tried to fill the emptiness with achievement. I became the most productive person I knew. I worked constantly. I set goals and accomplished them. I built things. I organized things. I controlled things. I thought if I just did enough, if I just accomplished enough, if I just proved my value enough times in enough ways, the emptiness would be replaced by satisfaction, by a sense of having earned my place in the world. And sometimes, for a brief moment after a success, I felt something, a flicker of warmth, a spark of fullness. But it lasted minutes, sometimes hours, never longer. And then the emptiness swallowed it, like dropping a lit match into a dark well. A brief flash of light, then nothing. The well remained empty, and I remained confused, because I had done everything I was supposed to do. I had worked hard. I had succeeded. Why didn't it work? Why didn't I feel full? So I tried people. I thought maybe the emptiness was loneliness in disguise. Maybe what I needed was connection, deeper connection, more connection, better connection. I threw myself into relationships. I made myself indispensable to everyone around me. I gave and gave and gave, hoping that the giving would fill me, that being needed would fill me, that being loved would fill me. And people did love me, some of them deeply. But their love fell into the same well. It touched the edges for a moment and then disappeared into the depth. And the most painful part was feeling empty while being held by someone who loved me. Feeling that hollow space between us, even in the closest embrace. As if there was a glass wall inside me that nothing could penetrate. Not love, not closeness, not intimacy, nothing. When was the last time you felt truly full? Not distracted, not busy, not entertained, truly full, truly at peace with what you have and who you are and where you are in this exact moment. Can you even remember? Or have you just been moving, just been doing, just been filling and filling and filling without ever stopping to ask why nothing stays? I tried experiences next, travel, adventure, novelty. I thought maybe the problem was that my life was too small, too routine, too predictable. Maybe I needed to see more of the world, taste more, feel more, live more. And so I went. I traveled. I saw beautiful things. I tasted extraordinary things. I had experiences that most people only dream about. And in the middle of those experiences, sometimes I felt something close to fullness. Standing on a mountain watching the sunrise, sitting by an ocean, listening to waves that had been breaking on that shore for millions of years. In those moments, the emptiness seemed to shrink, to quiet, to almost disappear. But it never fully disappeared. And when the experience ended, when I returned to my ordinary life, the emptiness was waiting for me, patient as ever, unchanged, unmoved by all the beauty I had witnessed, as if it existed in a dimension that no experience could reach. And then I tried spirituality. I came to this temple. I meditated. I prayed. I studied ancient texts. I sat in silence for hours. I practiced disciplines that were thousands of years old. I sought wisdom from teachers who had spent their entire lives searching for truth. And some of what I found helped, truly helped. It quieted the noise around the emptiness. It gave me tools to manage the suffering that came from feeling empty. But the emptiness itself remained, untouched by all my seeking, present through all my practice, surviving all my attempts to dissolve it. And that scared me more than anything, because if even spirituality couldn't fill this emptiness, if even the deepest practices and the wisest teachings couldn't touch it, then what could? What was I missing? What was fundamentally wrong with me that nothing in this entire world could make me feel whole? And this is where everything changes. This is where the story turns in a direction I never expected. Because the answer, when it finally came, didn't come through finding something new. It came through seeing something old, in a completely new way. Something that had been right in front of me, right inside me, my entire life. Something so close that I couldn't see it. The way you can't see your own eyes without a mirror. It was there, always there, but I was looking in exactly the wrong direction. I was 63 years old. I had come to the temple not for wisdom, not for answers, just for quiet. I was tired, more tired than I had ever been. Tired of searching, tired of filling, tired of trying to make the emptiness go away. I had no more strategies, no more ideas, no more energy to fight. I just wanted to stop, to sit somewhere silent and stop trying. And so I sat in a small room that smelled like sandalwood and old wood, and I did nothing. For the first time in my life, I made no effort to fix anything. I didn't meditate, I didn't pray, I didn't seek, I didn't analyze, I didn't try to understand. I just sat with the emptiness, in the emptiness, as the emptiness, without resistance, without fear, without the desperate need to make it different than it was. And something happened that I still cannot fully explain. The emptiness shifted, not disappeared. That's important. It didn't disappear, it shifted, as if I had been looking at it from one angle for 63 years, and suddenly, in that moment of complete surrender, I saw it from a different angle. And from this new angle, it didn't look like emptiness at all. It looked like space, not a void, not a hole, not an absence, space. Open, alive, breathing space. The way an empty room isn't broken. It's available, ready, full of potential. My emptiness wasn't a deficiency, wasn't something missing, wasn't evidence that I was broken or incomplete or not enough. It was space, inner space, the natural, essential, necessary spaciousness of a being that is conscious and alive and open to existence. If something in this is stirring inside you right now, if you're feeling something shift, even slightly, in how you understand your own emptiness, don't push it away. Don't analyze it. Just let it be there. Let it breathe. Because what I'm telling you is not philosophy. It's not theory. It's what saved my life. Here is what I need you to understand. And this is the part that most people never see. The reason you feel empty is not because something is missing from your life. The reason you feel empty is because you have been trying, desperately, relentlessly, for years, maybe decades, to fill something that was never meant to be filled. You have been treating your inner space as a problem, as a deficiency, as evidence that something is wrong with you. And you have been frantically trying to fix it by cramming things into it. Work, people, experiences, achievements, possessions, identities, beliefs, goals, distractions. You have been filling and filling and filling. And nothing sticks, nothing stays, nothing makes the emptiness go away. And you think the problem is that you haven't found the right thing yet, that the right job, the right person, the right experience, the right achievement will finally make you feel full. But that's not the problem. The problem is that you're trying to fill space that is meant to be empty, space that needs to be empty, space whose very emptiness is its purpose, its function, its gift to you. Think about this with me for a moment. A cup is useful not because of the ceramic walls, but because of the empty space inside. Without that emptiness, the cup cannot hold water, cannot serve its purpose, cannot do what it was made to do. If the cup was solid ceramic all the way through, it would be beautiful perhaps, but useless. The emptiness is not a flaw in the cup. The emptiness is what makes the cup a cup. And the same is true of you, your inner emptiness. That space you have been so desperate to fill is what makes you capable of experiencing life, of feeling deeply, of loving genuinely, of growing continuously, of being moved by beauty, of being broken by loss, of being transformed by truth. Without that inner space, none of that would be possible. You would be full, complete, finished. And finished things don't grow, don't change, don't feel, don't live. They just exist, static, permanent, closed. Maybe you've been running from the very thing that makes you alive. Maybe you've been trying to destroy the very capacity that allows you to love. Maybe the emptiness you fear is actually the freedom you've been searching for. When I understood this, truly understood it, not in my mind, but in my bones, in my breath, in the deepest part of my being, everything I had been doing suddenly made sense, not as solutions, as mistakes. Every time I crammed my schedule with work to avoid the emptiness, I was closing space that needed to stay open. Every time I clung to people to avoid feeling hollow, I was suffocating the very capacity that allowed me to genuinely connect with them. Every time I chased experiences to fill the void, I was running from the one thing that allowed me to fully experience anything. I had been at war with myself, at war with my own nature, at war with the very thing that made me capable of depth, of feeling, of life. And that war, that decades-long, exhausting, desperate war against my own inner space, was the real source of my suffering, not the emptiness, the war against the emptiness. When I stopped fighting, when I finally laid down my weapons and simply allowed the emptiness to be what it was, something extraordinary happened. The suffering dissolved, not the emptiness. The suffering around the emptiness, the anxiety about being empty, the shame about feeling hollow, the fear that something was wrong with me, the frantic searching for something to make me complete. All of that dissolved, like fog burning off in morning sunlight. And what remained was the emptiness itself. But it didn't feel like emptiness anymore. It felt like peace, like openness, like freedom, like coming home to a house I had been running from my entire life, only to discover that it was the most beautiful place I had ever been. I want to tell you what life feels like when you stop fighting your emptiness, when you stop trying to fill it and start simply living in it, breathing in it, being in it. The quality of experience changes completely. Not because the external world improves, but because you are no longer spending all your energy on a war you were never meant to fight. That energy becomes available for presence, for attention, for noticing, for the kind of deep, full, spacious awareness that allows you to actually taste your food. Actually feel the air on your skin. Actually hear the words someone is speaking to you instead of planning your response while they talk. Actually be here, in this moment, fully, without needing anything to be different. The emptiness is still here inside me. After all these years, it didn't go away, but it changed. It transformed from my greatest enemy into my greatest teacher, from a source of suffering into a source of peace, from a hole that needed filling into a space that allows living. And the lesson it taught me is the simplest and most profound lesson I have ever learned. You don't need to be full to be whole. You are already whole. The emptiness is not evidence of your brokenness. It is evidence of your vastness, of your depth, of your capacity for life. There is something I want you to try. Not tomorrow, not someday, tonight. The next time you feel that emptiness, that familiar hollow ache that you've been running from for years, don't reach for your phone. Don't turn on the television. Don't call someone. Don't eat something. Don't do anything. Just be with it. Breathe into it. Feel the space inside you without trying to fill it. And instead of interpreting it as something wrong, try seeing it as something open, something available, something alive. You might feel discomfort. You probably will. We're so conditioned to flee from emptiness that simply sitting with it feels almost dangerous. But stay with it. Breathe through it. And notice what happens when you stop fighting. Notice how the suffering around the emptiness begins to dissolve when you stop interpreting the emptiness as suffering. Notice how the space, when you allow it to simply be space, begins to feel not like absence, but like presence. Not like nothing, but like everything. Not like emptiness, but like freedom. My name is Busaba. I'm 79 years old. I live in a small temple surrounded by trees that lose their leaves every autumn without grieving. They don't cling to what's falling. They don't try to fill their bare branches with artificial leaves. They simply stand, open, empty. And in that emptiness, in that patient, trusting, beautiful bareness, they make room for what comes next, for the new growth that can only happen when the old has been released, when the space has been cleared, when the emptiness has been allowed. I wonder, when did you first notice the emptiness? How old were you? What were you doing? And what was the first thing you reached for to try to fill it? Not to judge yourself, not to analyze, just to see. Because seeing is where it all begins. Seeing that you've been at war, seeing that the war was never necessary, seeing that what you've been fighting was never your enemy, it was always your home. The home you kept trying to furnish because you forgot that you loved the open space.